Okay, I think we'll begin. So thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon. My name is Sophie and I'm joined by my colleague Ife and three of our amazing student ambassadors who are here to answer questions via the Q&A function. We will be delivering a webinar, Ife and myself, on UK student finance, and we are from the Education Liaison and Outreach team at Middlesex University. So for those of you who don't know, Middlesex is a university within London and we're based in Hendon. We are only about 25 minutes into central London, and we are a nice leafy green campus that has really amazing facilities and a really lovely campus to be on. We've got a great community, and we also do have some international campuses as well. This presentation should last around 40 minutes, and then we will have some time for questions at the end. But please do ask your questions as we go. As I said, we have three of our student ambassadors on the Q&A ready to answer questions. So if you do have a question as we go, please do ask it and we will try to answer it. If you want to wait until the end, that's absolutely fine, you can do. But either way, we'll answer your questions. We aren't just going to be talking at you. There will be some opportunity for you to get involved as well through some questions that we're going to be asking you throughout the presentation. So please do participate as well. Okay. So firstly, we want to hear from you. So I'm going to launch a poll at the moment, and we want to know where you're at with your student finance application. Okay, lots of people voting, which is great. So I'm going to close the poll in a few seconds. Okay, so most people haven't started their student finance application. That's not a problem. This presentation is going to help you to get started on your student finance presentation, your student finance application, sorry, and we'll give you some tips on what you need to apply for if you are wanting to use the student loans company to get your loans to support you while you're at university. For those of you who have started, that's great. And for those of you who don't know where to begin, this presentation will support you in getting a bit more understanding on what student finance is, what you can apply for, and how it all works. So this is what we're going to be covering as part of today's presentation. We're going to be looking at the student loans, what they are. So we're going to be breaking them down into the tuition fee loan and the maintenance loan, giving you a bit of information about both of those. What extra financial support is available for you, because there are some ways that you can get extra money while you're at university. Also, really importantly, how to pay back your loan. Lots of times people will be thinking that actually you need to pay it back all in one go, but we're here to kind of dispel that myth and just show you how you pay back your loan and when you need to start paying it back. For anyone who is classed as mature, so any mature students who are watching this presentation, so that's anyone going to university who's over 21, then there is a bit of information for you on how you can get extra support while you're at university in terms of the monetary support. And then finally, what to do next. So we are going to be giving you a lot of information in today's presentation. So if you take away anything from today's presentation, then these are the 4 key points that you need to remember. So you can get financial support to help you with the cost of going to university, and this is in the form of the loans from the government. Really important to remember, you only have to start paying it back after you've finished your studies, so you don't have to pay it back immediately, and it's normally the April after you finished your course, so the new financial year after you finished your course, and when you're earning above a certain amount, and we will talk a bit about that in more detail as we move along the presentation. If you haven't paid back your loan in 30 years, then it does get written off in full, so you can have paid back one payment to the student loans company, or you can have done 50 payments to the student loans company. If after 30 years you've not paid it back in full, that's absolutely fine. It just completely gets written off. And there is some additional monetary support available for those people who may need it as well.
Hi everyone. So to start off, we're going to quickly show a video which explains student finance as a whole.
Students at uni or college have two main costs: tuition fees and living costs. The good news is that there's lots of financial help available to help pay for these. There's a tuition fee loan to cover fees and a loan to help pay for living costs, such as rent, books, or travel. As with any other loan, these have to be repaid. The difference here is that student loans don't have to be paid back until the student has finished or left their course, and their income is over a certain amount.
Sorry, I don't know what happened there. It just stopped. So we're going to start again. Sorry.
Students at uni or college have two main costs: tuition fees and living costs. The good news is that there's lots of financial help available to help pay for these. There's a tuition fee loan to cover fees and a loan to help pay for living costs, such as rent, books, or travel. As with any other loan, these have to be repaid. The difference here is that student loans don't have to be paid back until the student has finished or left their course, and their income is over a certain amount of money. The amount repaid each month will be based on their income, not how much they borrowed. Interest will be charged from the day the first student finance payment is made to the student until the loan is repaid in full or cancelled. There's also extra financial help available for students with a disability or students who have children or an adult who depends on them financially. Unlike loans, these don't usually have to be paid back.
Okay, so as it said in the video, there are two main loans that you can get from the government. So these will help you with going to university, and they aren't like a bank loan. We want to reiterate that. So if you do change your mind about going to university, before you take your loan out, you can cancel it without having to pay back anything. So sometimes with bank loans, you are still required to pay back a percentage of whatever you've forecasted that you will need, even if you then decide that you don't need it anymore. This isn't the case with student loans. If you decide that you're not going to go to university, it's absolutely fine. You don't pay anything back. And you don't have to start paying back your loan straight away. That's really important to remember. So you can get a tuition fee loan and you can get a maintenance loan. And we'll talk about those in a bit more detail now.
Okay, so with the tuition fee loan, the government can provide you with a loan to cover the cost of your course. Now, it's really easy to apply for this loan. Firstly, what you need to do is decide what course you want to study and where you want to study. Once you've made that decision, you then go on gov.uk/student-finance and apply for your student finance through this website. Now, it can take up to 6 weeks for your application to actually be processed. So we always say, start your application as early as possible. Otherwise, you might have to start university without a loan, and that is not the best situation to be in. And then we say, always remember that the money for your tuition fee is paid directly to your chosen university. And this is in 3 installments per year. So at the start of every single term. And then, as Sophie said, you will not be paying anything back until you reach a certain level. And this level is £27,295 a year. So until you're earning that, you won't be paying anything back.
Absolutely. So it's really, really important to remember that. Lots of people think they have to pay it back immediately after finishing university, but actually that's not the case. It's the April after you've left your course, and only when you're earning above a certain amount. That at the moment is £27,295, but it does keep pace with average earnings. Previously, it has seen an increase. It used to be 21,000, then it moved to 25,000. Last year, it was 26,500 that you needed to be earning before you started paying it back. And this financial year, it's now increased again. So it keeps pace with average earnings, which is a good thing. So then you have your maintenance loan. And this is provided to you by the government, again, to cover things like your living costs. So think about all of the things that you might need to pay for. So this can include your accommodation, so if that includes your rent or any bills that you might need to pay as part of the accommodation that you are getting, your social expenses, your food, your phone bill, your books, if you are going to university that charges you to get books, then you will need to factor all of that in to the cost of the maintenance loan that you will receive from the government. You may be eligible to apply for some additional long course loans for certain full-time courses, but you can see that on your fees and fundings pages of the universities that you are interested in going into. Once you've applied for the loan, this one gets paid directly into your bank account in 3 installments at the start of each term. So you are responsible for budgeting and being smart about your spending. That's really, really important, because as you'll see, the amount you get does depend on your personal circumstances, so your household income, and actually where you choose to live and study while you're at university. The numbers do differ, and you'll need to obviously budget depending on what you receive.
Okay, so these are the maximum amounts of maintenance loans available for a standard full-time course. So depending on where you're studying, if you've come abroad to study, the amount that you can get varies. So if you've come from abroad and you are studying as part of a UK-based course, the most that you could get is 10,866. If you're living away from home, but you're studying in London, the most you can get in this case is 12,382. If you're living away from home and you are studying outside of London, the most you can get is 9,488. And then if you're living with your parents or your guardian, the most that you can get is 7,987.
Perfect, thanks Ife. And one thing to note is if you want to work out now what you might get, this is just an estimate, but you can go on gov.uk/student finance calculator, pop in a few details and it will give you an estimate of what you might get. Something also to note is that if you are going to be studying at another major city, that actually cost of living is rising there. So at the moment you do get quite a significant quite significantly less in terms of maintenance loan for living in a city outside of London. So just bear that in mind when you're deciding where you want to go. So now it's over to you. We just want to show you how the maintenance loan is kind of calculated. So it is based on your household income, and we're looking at someone here who is studying inside London and living away from home. So the maximum amount they can get is £12,386, and the minimum that they can get is £6,166. So something to note is if you are asked for your parents or your household income details and you choose not to put that in, or your parents don't want to put that in, or whoever you're living with won't put that information in, that's absolutely fine. But what you'll get is the minimum amount. So this is the figure that everyone under this category is eligible for. But as you see, if you are on a lower household income, then what you can receive is higher, as opposed to someone on a higher household income, what they get from their loan is a little bit less. So we're going to pop a poll up on the screen now, and I want you to tell us whether someone on a household income of £25,000, if they got this maximum loan of £12,382, how much is that per term? And then the same for someone on £50,000. What is the amount that they would get per term? Okay, we've got quite a few people answering now, which is great. I'll leave it for another couple of seconds and then I will stop the polling. Okay, right, I'm going to share the results. Okay, so we've got a bit of a mixed bag. Most people got the first one right. Yep, so it is £4,127. So here, if you were to receive the maximum amount on a household income of 25,000, what you need to do is, if you remember rightly, if they said you get paid at the start of each term, and there's 3 terms per academic year, so per the year that you're at university. So you'd actually get £4,127 per term to budget with. And then for someone on a household income of £50,000, you'd actually get closer to £3,000. So it's £2,976. You can see that there is a massive difference by quite a few £1,000s, depending on the household income that you're on. It's really, really important that you kind of make yourself aware of that, because you will have to budget. So if you're thinking about studying inside London, look at the different accommodation options that are available for you, or if you're going to commute, actually how much does it cost you to commute to university, and then you'll be able to work out roughly what you're left over with at the end of each term. So there is some additional support in terms of monetary support that is available to you. And everything on the screen at the moment is money that you don't have to pay back. So if you are someone who has a registered disability or learning difficulty, you can apply for a pot of money from the Disabled Students Allowance, or DSA for short. So this money doesn't get paid to you directly, but it does get given to you to support you with going to university. So for instance, if you needed ergonomic equipment or a special chair or a special software to go onto your laptop, or anything that's going to support you while you are learning, you can make an application to the DSA. The maximum amount you can get is £25,000, but what you may get may differ depending on your circumstances and depending on what you actually need while you're at university. But it's something really important to note. You do need to make an application, so you can apply at the same time as applying for student finance, but you will need to make an application in order to receive this money. It isn't just given to you. If you have a financially dependent child or an adult who is financially dependent on you, you can get some money, again, that you don't have to pay back, in the form of parents' learning allowance, a childcare grant, or adult dependent grants, as well as some other kind of travel bursaries as well. Again, it's money that you don't have to pay back, but you will need to make an application for it. If you are a student who is going to study nursing, midwifery, or another allied health profession course, so this could be mental health nursing, learning disability nursing, orthotics, podiatry, radiography, there is a very long list on the NHS Learning Support Fund website. You are eligible for £5,000 as standard per year to support you while you're at university. So as well as being able to access the student loans, so your tuition and your maintenance loans, you can also access this pot of money as well, but you must be studying one of the courses listed on their website. There is more money available as well. So if you are from an area of the country that struggles to recruit, so it doesn't recruit as well for these particular programs, then there is an extra kind of regional incentive for you to make an application for these courses. If you need extra support with childcare, then you can get up to £2,000 in a grant, again, that you don't have to pay back, to support you with your childcare costs. And if you're applying for a course that doesn't recruit as highly, so courses like nursing or midwifery, they normally get lots of applications in to all of the universities that offer those courses. They are quite high recruiting courses. Then if you are going to do a course that isn't one of those courses and comes under like the allied health profession courses, then there is an extra pot of money that you can access as well in the term of £1,000 for those courses that don't recruit such high numbers as well. But all of this information can be found on the NHS Learning Support Fund website.
Amazing. So as Sophie has said, If you have a child or an adult who is dependent on you financially, there is some extra help that you can get, which is amazing. So if you've got one child who is dependent on you, you could get 85% of your childcare costs covered. So this is a maximum of £179.62 a week. If you've got two or more, you could also get 85% as well. But instead of it being the 179, it could be a maximum of £307.95 a week. And then if you have an adult, if you've got someone that's dependent on you and you might need support with your education whilst you're studying, you can get the parent learning allowance, which could be up to 1,821, which is also amazing. And then if you've got an adult who is also dependent on you, you could get a maximum of £3,190, which is really good.
Yeah, it is amazing to think that there's all this money out there that a lot of people don't realise. And you can find it all. You can find out all about it on the gov.uk website, or the Student Loans Company have a really great social media presence. So you can always just follow them, ask them questions, and they'll be able to let you know a bit more information about how you can access some more money. So now on to repaying your loans. So it's really important for you to remember that you don't have to pay back your loan immediately. So we get asked questions all the time about, when am I supposed to start paying back my loan? And oh my God, I'm gonna have to pay back everything in one go. We're here to dispel that myth. You don't have to pay it back all in one go. You're not expected to. The government know that people are not able to pay back their loan amounts in full. So you pay back small amounts each month. So you don't need to start paying back your student loan until you finished your course. So you finished your 3 or your 4 years first, and it's the April after you finish your course. So it's the new tax year. And when you're earning above a certain amount, and that threshold currently stands at £27,295, then you'll need to start paying back your loan. By the time you finish university, that threshold may have changed. We don't know, because we can't predict the future, but we have seen an increase over the past 5 or 6 years. So it's likely that it may go up, or it's likely that it may stay the same. But at the moment, the threshold is just over £27,000. Really important to note is you only ever pay back a percentage of anything above the earning threshold, and that percentage is 9%. So you can earn up to the threshold without having to pay back your loans. And for some people, they may never earn the threshold, and in which case they never pay back their loan. If you earn above the threshold and then you don't earn above the threshold anymore, so you dip back under, what will happen is you will just stop paying your loan. And then when you go above the threshold again, then you're required to pay back your loan again. So payments do get taken directly from most people's salary, and they come out with the other deductions. So things like your national insurance and your tax, it normally comes out with all of that. And payments, depending on the salary that you earn, are very manageable. So it's also important to note that interest does start from when you start university, and it does change year on year, but you need to check the gov.uk website for more information.
Okay, so we have got a little activity that's coming up now, and a poll will come up, so please do participate as you have been. Thank you so much. Okay, so we've got a student called Fari, and she graduated Middlesex University with a marketing degree in June 2018. So she got a summer job, and she was working in a cafe, and she was earning £18,000 a year. In October 2018, she started as a marketing officer on £25,000 a year. And then in May 2019, she was promoted, which was amazing. And now she's on a salary of £28,000 a year. So I've got these questions. The first question of, does Fari pay back her loan? That's related to when she got her summer job. The second question is related to when she got her marketing officer role, when she was promoted to a 28,000. And then once she has been promoted, how much does she need to pay back? So remember, it's the 9% that we were speaking about in the previous slide, the 9% of the difference between her salary and the threshold of 27,295.
We've got lots of people putting
Great.
their answers in. We'll give it another few seconds and then we'll close the polling.
Yes, we will.
Okay. All right, I'm going to end the poll now.
Okay, so we've got a, yeah.
Most people have got it right. Yeah.
They've got it right. Yeah, that's amazing.
Great. So everyone's been listening, which is really, really good. That's good that what we're saying is sinking in. So yeah, Fari only needs to start paying back her loan as of May 2019, when she actually was earning above the repayment threshold. So most people have got the answer right as well. So yes, it does require you, or did require you, to do a little bit of maths. So we are appreciative of that. So yeah, 9% of anything above the threshold. So the threshold was £27,295. Fari was earning, as of May 2019, £28,000. So that is £705 above the repayment threshold. So 9% of that equals £63 per month. So if we give you some examples of the sorts of things that you can be spending for £63 a month, you'll probably find that it's quite manageable in terms of the payment. So if you're someone who buys lots of trainers, or if you're someone that buys lots of clothes, or you buy games, or you, I don't know, there's a million things that you could be spending lots of money on at the moment. And if you were to think that actually £63 per month, and this does come out with your deductions as well, so you don't necessarily see it unless you're checking your payslip each month, it is very manageable.
Yeah, very manageable.
Great. Don't know if you have, do you have anything else to say on that?
That's it.
Great. Okay, so for anyone who is a mature student in this call, then there is a bit of information for you to know. Obviously, all of the information around the childcare grant and the parents' learning allowance that Ife spoke about earlier does apply to you, but there are some little extra things that you need to note. So if you are the only adult in your house, then you may be eligible to get a council tax reduction. And it normally is about 25%, which actually is quite substantial in terms of the monetary value that you can absorb back to use on other things to support you while you're learning. So you do need to be the only adult in the house to be eligible for this. And most councils, local authorities, will offer this discount scheme for the only adult in the house. You can have children as well, but you need to, it's adult, anyone over the age of 18. You might also be eligible for help with your rent if you have children. And this can come in the form of a number of different ways. Different universities offer different bursaries and scholarships, and your local authority may support you in terms of going to university. There are lots of different charity options available as well. There's a great charity called Turn to Us, and they have lots of different scholarships or kind of bursaries that you can apply for different things. As if I said before, you can get the childcare grant, so you can receive up to 85% of your childcare costs, and also the parents' learning allowance as well. One thing to note is if you have already studied at degree level, then you will need to check with student loans whether or not you're eligible to take the full maintenance and tuition fee loan again. Just because if you've already studied at that level, you may have already taken your kind of set amount that has been allocated, and you may have to find other funding yourself. But most people can apply for the tuition and maintenance loans. Someone asked a question previously about how the loans work in terms of repayment. So they are combined for the purposes of repaying back. So you combine your tuition and your maintenance loan for the purposes of the repayment. So they get pushed together, and that's what you're paying the money back on, just because I saw the question come in. Okay, so bursaries and scholarships. Each university is different. And what you can get at each university is something that you will need to look at. We aren't able to kind of comment on what other universities have, but it's really, really important that you do check it out, because actually a lot of the time bursaries and scholarships terms can be used interchangeably. It's exactly the same as grants. As well, it's all money that you can apply for. They do normally require you to do an application of some kind. Could be an essay, or you could need to just meet specific criteria, fill in a short application form, or sometimes it can be a bit more substantial. But all the terms can be used interchangeably, and what they are is, or what it is free money that you don't have to pay back and that you may be eligible for. So as we've got on the screen here, it says some of the typical requirements for getting bursaries and scholarships are to maybe be a high academic achiever, if you have a special talent such as sports, or if you come from a low income household. There may be extra grants or bursaries or scholarships that you can apply for from your particular universities. So for us, ours can all be found on our website, and if there are any international students on the call as well, there is information about international scholarships as well, things like the Chevening Scholarship you can apply for, and also sometimes your country of origin may also support you to go to university as well. As we say, don't not apply. Please do just make your application. You never know, there could be pots of money sitting there that you're eligible for. You can just make your application. You've got nothing to lose. So just have a look on the fees and fundings pages of the universities that you're interested in going to.
Okay, so at Middlesex, we have the SWAT team, which is an amazing team, and it stands for the Student Welfare Advice Team. And this team, I've said team so many times, this team is just to help students deal with financial, practical, or legal issues that they may face. Of course, as a student, you don't ever plan for things to ever go wrong, but to know that if, worst case scenario, something does go wrong, you have got a support system at the university that will help you out with issues on like debt and money management, housing issues, welfare benefits, student loans, grants and bursaries, literally anything on the page as you can see it. So that's really helpful as well.
Yeah, they're an absolutely fab team, and most universities will have something like that, not necessarily called SWAT. I think we take the kind of credit for the best name there, but yeah, there will be a team dedicated to help and support you where possible. So budgeting, something that everyone needs to know. So depending on your circumstances, in order to kind of get a little bit of extra kind of funds while you're at university, you may need to do one of the following. So you can get part-time work, and that can be through the university. Every university will have some sort of employment support available to you, and they can help and advise you to get part-time work. Or you can, if you're already working part-time or full-time, as it may be for some of you, you can see if your employer will transfer you if they have a base in the particular area that you're going to. So you can get part-time work that way. Or if you go to university, you can look for a company that will take on a student at university for the hours that you're allowed to work. Obviously, you can ask your parents and your family members for help while you're at university. Perhaps they might be able to support you with some accommodation costs, or give you a bit of an allowance almost to kind of up the money that you might have if you find that your maintenance loan doesn't quite cover everything you need. You can also open a student bank account, and these are great because they have a 0% interest overdraft facility. Obviously, you need to be careful with your bank accounts that you're opening, and make sure that you don't get into debt, and that you're able to pay back your overdraft if required and when required. Also, check that you are actually getting the right amount of funding that you're entitled to. Perhaps something was missed on the application form, or circumstances have now changed since you made your application, so you actually need to resubmit information. You can also do that with the welfare and advice teams at the universities as well. They can help you with that. Also apply for any grants or bursaries or scholarships from the university, as we said before, and from any charities or any local community groups that might support you going to university as well. Look for money saving tips. There are loads out there. and also ask for help if you need it. So don't suffer in silence. If you do need support with managing your money, then please do ask for help. Universities are there to support you, and as will your friends and family. There is a 1 minute budget that you can do via Save the Student, and you can input in all of the things that you might need to budget for, and then it will kind of help you and tell you what you might have left over once you've put in the cost of everything as well. We also do have some of our ambassadors, as I said, on this presentation. So if you do have any budgeting tips, or if you want any advice, pop them a question in the Q&A and they'll be sure to answer it for you. I also don't know if they've got any, you got any other budgeting tips that I've missed out? No?
I would say try and get like a little bit of money just for like basic food for when you actually like your first week at uni, because sometimes it may take a few days for your student finance to go in, especially if your like enrollment is later on in the week. So definitely like try and get together a bit of money just so you can go out and do a bit of shopping or go to the pub or something like that with your flatmates.
Amazing. Yeah, the pre-planning is important. Thank you. Okay, so another way that you can earn money is by becoming an ambassador. So some of you may have heard of ambassadors before, some of you may not have, but we're here to kind of let you know what they are, who they are, and kind of what they do. So an ambassador is it's a lifeline for universities because they are so great. I cannot even stress how great ambassadors are in helping us to function as a university. So ambassadors can go out and represent the university at various different events. So we've got 3 of our wonderful ambassadors supporting us on this presentation today. You can also attend UCAS fairs virtually and physically when we're able to do that. You're able to go into schools and colleges and talk about your experiences. It's very flexible. You can pick up and drop shifts if you need to. You only have to work when you're free. The pay is great. It gives you an opportunity to meet new people, travel to new places as well. If you're representing the university for a UCAS fair, for instance, or a fair that requires you to stay overnight or go to a different city, for instance, you get your hotel and you get food paid for. So it's an opportunity for you to go, talk about your experiences, which should be really easy for you, meet new people, have really, really good experiences, and it looks great on your CV as well. There's normally a kind of application process at all universities, and you'll have lots of training to support you, but it's a really, really good way to earn a bit of extra money while you're at university. And talking for university staff, we appreciate ambassadors so much because they're able to help and support us in lots of our big events, things such as open events, or, you know, if we've got school visits and things like that we want to do, it's really helpful. To the wonderful ambassadors that we've got on the call at the moment, is there anything you want to add about being an ambassador?
It's great fun. You get your friends from there.
And if you have the opportunity to do it, just do it, because I know it's weird to say, but it is easy because you're talking about things you know about, and it's really good money. So why would you not do it?
Great, thank you.
Okay, so the next steps, we would say the next step is to register an account on gov.uk/student-finance. Even if you've got like 10 minutes after this session, just go on that website, have a little play around and start your application. That would be really good. Or if you don't have the time to start your application this night, maybe just going onto the website, knowing your whereabouts as well. Then, would say definitely start your application as soon as possible. As we said, it can take up to 6 weeks for the application to actually be processed. You want to have your student loan in perfect time for when you're starting, or not, maybe not perfect time, but in the best time that you can. the window's open now, so you can start your application tonight, start it tomorrow, start as soon as possible. And then most importantly, do your research. So we've given you as much information as we can today, which has hopefully, those of you that at the start was not really 100% sure where to start, hopefully, you know, you've got a different answer now, and hopefully we've given you quite a bit of support. We have got one last poll because we want to hear from you just before we go, and we want to know how you're feeling about student finance now. Hopefully it's better.
It is definitely better, yeah.
Yes, great.
Okay, right, I'm going to end the poll in 2 seconds. Okay. Yeah.
Amazing.
That's
made me and Sophie so happy about that, honestly. No, so happy.
It has. I'm really glad that you feel a little bit more confident. For those people that still need a little bit of help, that's absolutely fine. You can always talk to student finance directly or attend any more student finance presentations that universities are doing. If you've got a question now, we can try and answer it for you in the Q&A if you still have questions that you want to ask. For anybody that is kind of struggling with the concept of student finance and what you need to do, the student loans company are great. It can be a little bit difficult to get through to them whilst it is such a busy period, but do persevere, or do pop them a message on Twitter. They're very responsive on there. They also have lots of short videos, and they also break down some of the bits that we've spoken about in more detail for you. So definitely give them a shout if you've got other questions that you need to ask, or you can also ask the fees and finance teams at the particular universities that you're interested in going to. If you want to ask a little bit more. Obviously, at the particular universities, they can't talk about your application directly because we aren't working from the same systems that the student loans company are working from. So if you have questions about your particular application, then you will need to discuss that with the student loans company directly. But I'm glad that people feel more confident and are ready to start their application. So yeah, as Ife said, the applications are open, so do make your applications now. It can take 6 weeks for your application to be processed, so to avoid delay, do it now. If you don't know which university you want to go to yet, but you have a rough idea, so say you're deciding between 2 particular universities, not a problem, pop down the one that you think you're most likely to go to. Then if that changes, you can change that information. That is really, really straightforward to do. What you don't want to do is wait until you make your decision, if that's, you know, in a few weeks' time or a few months' time, and then be faced with a bit of a delay in your application being processed. So just pop down whichever university you think you're going to, then you can change those details a bit later on. Okay, I wonder if we've got... Also, just to note, we've got an open day on the 21st of April from 4 till 7 p.m. if you want to find out more. And at these open events, you'll be able to speak to the fees and finance team at Middlesex, as well as our admissions team, and more. There'll be some presentations from us in Education Liaison, as well as a chance for you to look at particular courses. And we will also be holding a campus tour. So if you are someone who's going to apply or has applied to Middlesex, then pop along to that and you can talk to the different departments and the services available. So anyone that's just asked about accessing the PowerPoint after, yes, we're going to send you through the video. So we will send you back through this recording after. So this will probably get to you tomorrow or the day after. So the NHS funding, that will normally open. So last year was the first year that it all came back again, and that didn't open until July. So at the moment, there hasn't been a confirmed date, but it's not open right now. So what you can do is you can follow NHS Learning Support Fund on Facebook. If you are on Facebook, they're on Twitter as well. And also the student loans company, so Student Finance, do also promote information about the NHS Learning Support Fund bursary that you can access if you are applying for nursing, midwifery, or those allied health profession courses as well. So you won't get paid your student loans until you are enrolled on the course. So once you know that you're going to a particular university, once they scan you in, or if it's going to be like a virtual enrolment, depending on what happens this year, once the university confirm 2 student loans, okay, they're at this university and they're now studying, that's when the money gets released to you, which is why Kathleen said about having a little bit of money in that first week, just in case your enrolment is a little bit later on in the week and you don't actually get your money paid in until maybe the end of the week. So yeah. Someone's asked also, does changing your preferred university on student finance affect it? No, it doesn't affect it at all. You get the only reason it would affect it is if you are now going to be studying in a different kind of area. So if you were studying in London, your maintenance costs or what you're eligible for are naturally higher because it is in London. If you then decided to move outside of London, then your maintenance costs will go down because you're outside of London. So that's where it will have a significant difference. If you are now going to be moving from one London university to another, and all those other circumstances have stayed the same, then it won't affect it. So if you have a learning disability and you're on a low income household, you can apply for, so for the learning disability, if it's registered and you have been statemented, you can apply for the DSA, the Disabled Students Allowance, which was the maximum amount of 25,000. Obviously that whole pot of 25,000 isn't guaranteed. It just goes to bits of support that is needed. But that's the maximum that you can access. You can apply for that. If you're from a low income household, you can apply for the tuition and maintenance loans, as can everyone if they are eligible under the eligibility rules for student finance. But there may also be some extra grants or bursaries that you can apply for at your chosen university, depending on if it's one for household income. So do please check with your universities whether they've got something available. So for EU students, you will need to check on the gov.uk website once more information has been released, but you are only eligible for the student loans if you have pre-settled or settled status. So you would need to check with student loans if you're eligible and also then what you're eligible for. And you need to have been in the country for 3 years prior to the start of the course, which normally sits at the 1st of September of that particular year. So for this year, the first day of the academic year is the 1st of September 2021. Okay, have we got any more questions? I believe if you have the disability, so if you have been statemented, so your local council, your local authority will normally provide you with the statement, then you can take that and apply for the DSA. For anyone that's raised their hand, if you want to pop the questions in the Q&A, that would be great. Okay, so does anyone need any of the links? We're able to send you through any of these links that are on the screen at the moment, but obviously you will get access to this recording as well.
I think there's just a question on there about dependent parents and what that actually means.
Okay. Oh, I've just also seen there's another one coming in. Do you receive the tuition fee, sorry, from the government and then do we pay? No, so your tuition fee goes directly to your chosen university. So if you have, so for the dependent, what I will do is I'll also quickly pop a link in the chat, or if you can get the link for the for this person.
Yeah.
Just while I'll answer some of these other questions that have just come in. Right, so if you drop out in the future, how much do you pay back, and does the payback factor still apply to me? Yes, you do still. So there is a point at which it's only a few weeks that if you decide that university is not for you, then you don't have to pay back any of the loans, but it's a very, very short window. I think it's only anywhere between 2 or 4 weeks. If after that point you then decide that university is not for you and you leave university, then you're required to pay back that term. And then if you were then to be there into the new term, so say the first term is September/October, depending on your university, to December, if you then returned in January and then stayed for another 2 weeks and then decided, actually, do you know what, university is not for me, I'm going to leave, then actually you are then required to pay back the 2 terms. So that's how it's worked out, but you are then still required to pay it back with the same threshold limit. When's the best time to get a student bank account? So you can get that closer to when you're going to go to university, because obviously you'll then be able to know roughly what the best deals are, because at the moment in this climate, interest rates and all of that sort of stuff are changing all the time. So I would say leave it a little bit. I'm not an expert though, so
just on that, most student bank accounts also require your confirmation letter from the uni, which obviously you don't receive until after you've got your results and your place has been confirmed.
Yeah, perfect. And then you'll be able to do a bit of a shop around and see which bank is the best for you as well. So we've had a question around teaching and learning. Obviously, at the moment, with things changing, we don't know how class will be taught. We are hoping for a return to campus, but we just don't know. So some of the, actually, yeah, any of you 3 on this call, perhaps you want to give a bit of information about how you're learning at the moment and how it's been. That would just maybe give some people an idea of what it is like to study virtually, if we are having to be studying online come September.
Yes, so at the moment I study on Zoom, and my course tells me to do lots of group work. So I do all that group work as well on Zoom. Also, Microsoft Teams comes up a lot as well for like independent learning and group sessions.
Great stuff, thank you. So there may be a blended learning approach, which will mean that you will be on campus for some days and also then working virtually. But until we have further guidance on kind of how things are looking in a few months' time, we won't be able to give exact information. But you can also ask your different universities what their plans are for returning to campus. Okay, we've got another 5 minutes. If anyone's got any more questions, we're happy to answer them for you. And don't forget, we have got our open event on the 21st of April. We would love to see you there. If you have got any other questions, you can scan that QR code that's on your screen now, and that will take you to a page to find out more. We also do have a 5-minute student finance video that kind of wraps up everything we've spoken about today in 5 minutes, so that you can recap. As I said, though, you will get the copy of this. So you get your confirmation letter once you've been accepted by the university. So you will make your choices soon if you've been given an offer. Then after results day, you'll know whether you have been accepted to that university. If you've got the results that have been required, you've met the conditions of your offer, then that means you'll be going to that university. Then that's when you get your kind of enrollment pack, which will have your letter. Sometimes it can come to you via email, sometimes it can come to you via post. And that's when you'll get the confirmation letter. Is it cheaper to rent privately or live on campus? This does all depend on where you are choosing to live and study. Where have you all stayed? Have you been staying on campus, or have you stayed on campus and then been like privately renting?
When I was doing my undergraduate, because I'm currently a master's student, I did my first and final years on campus. And then my second year was in a shared house, which was more expensive because then I had to pay bills on top. And that's something else you have to organise and budget for and work with who you're living with. But whereas most of the time, if you're on campus, bills are all included. So it often works out cheaper and you don't have to organise as much.
Thank you very much. Yeah, you can still apply for accommodation. Accommodation options are still available to you. Again, check with whatever university you're going to, whether you're guaranteed accommodation as a first year student. There are normally some kind of caveats around that you might need to have them as your firm choice university. But again, check with different universities, go to open events. Our accommodation team will be at our next open event. So if you're applying for Middlesex, then you can ask them about the accommodation options and what they're like at the moment. Yeah, please do pop along. So you can apply for accommodation once you have made your choices. So once you've been given your conditions, your conditional offer or unconditional offer, if you do get given an unconditional offer straight away, then once you've made your choices, so you've decided whether you want that university to be your firm or insurance choice, then you can start applying for accommodation. You can normally only apply for accommodation at your firm choice universities, but check with your universities whether or not you can apply as an insurance option to accommodation as well. But normally it is just for those that are picking as their firm. Yep, so your unconditional, so the unconditional offer is when you've met all of your conditions and there's nothing more for you to meet, your offer will go unconditional. If you are someone who has applied with previous qualifications that meet the requirements and you've kind of done everything, then you may already be given an unconditional offer at a particular university. But for a lot of people, you will have conditions to meet because you are studying at A levels or BTEC or that kind of level 3 requirements. So you will still have conditions to meet because you haven't yet taken your particular exams. Nope. So you don't need to wait. So when we're talking about the confirmation letter, that is for the student bank account. For your student loans, you can make your application now. You don't have to wait for a confirmation letter. You just need to have had your kind of the understanding of which university you might want to go to. You put that information into student finance, and then when you actually go to that university, they match it up and say that you're enrolled there, and then that's when you get paid. So you don't have to wait for that particular letter for your student finance application. That letter, that kind of confirmation that you are now attending that university, comes from when you get your results. I think the person that's asked about international US students, we're not experts on that. I know that's your federal loan system that you get. You would need to ask our fees and fundings team, the student finance team. Ife, would you be able to just take or send that person the link to Middlesex's website, and then they can search for fees and funding on there? And that will enable you to ask about how the US federal loan system works. So we can't talk for every university in terms of what happens, but if you don't get into your firm choice on results day, and then you end up going to your insurance choice, or you end up going into clearing, then you can search for accommodation at that point. But it's good that you're planning ahead. It's really good that you're planning ahead if you for different eventualities. But have some hope that you're going to get into your firm choice university, and you'll be absolutely fine. But if you are kind of thinking that may be the case, then just have a look at the accommodation options that are available at your insurance choice, and maybe note down a few that are interested that you're interested in, and then you'll have some options if you don't go to your firm choice university. You can, so someone's asked here about making sure they have a student bank account to get their student loans. It's up to you, really. If you have a normal bank account that you're happy with, then you can ask Student Finance to pay it directly into that bank account. Or if you want to get a student bank account, sometimes there's extra perks with the student bank account. Obviously, you get the 0% overdraft facility, but there are sometimes also like reward systems that you can get. So it's completely up to you what you choose to do. Okay, we've hit time. It's been an hour. It's been an absolute pleasure to be able to talk to you all, and thank you so much for being so engaged and coming along to this presentation today. Hopefully we've been able to provide you with more information. You will get this recording sent to you after, and we will also send you our 5-minute video as well. Please come along to our open event. Our finance teams will be on, and our services will be on chat, available for you to talk to if you are going to be going to Middlesex University. If you are someone who is going to a different university, then don't be afraid. Ask your teams at the different university. They are more than willing to help you. They will definitely provide you with more information. Great, thank you so much. I'm glad everyone found it useful. And yeah, take care, stay safe, enjoy the sunshine while we've got it, and hopefully see you at another live workshop. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.